What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, but this is not just another episode of the podcast. This episode is with my friend Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum, another guitar podcast and friend of this show and just all-around great internet dude. He was my guide at my first NAMM, and speaking of my first NAMM, we are recreating something very special that happened there back in 2016. Basically, what happened is I hit the NAMM floor, and the very first thing I did was go with Ryan to interview Paul Reed Smith. Yes, Mr. PRS himself. We sat down, we kind of threw our own spin, our own little goofy thing into the interview format, and it was the first time I had chatted with Paul, and we had a really, really good time. When Ryan and I realized we were both going to be at Gearfest, and Paul was going to be there, we were like, well, we've just got to recreate that. Somehow we're still both in this industry after all this time, and he is, of course, a titan of this industry, so it was a big, big treat to get to recreate kind of a little nostalgic piece of content. So here is the video version. If you're just listening to this, you might want to slide over to YouTube to check it out. The link to that will be in the show notes. I had a great time with Paul. Ryan had a great time with Paul. We're joking around. We're having a blast. And I think you're really going to enjoy this slightly off-the-wall conversation with Mr. Paul Reed Smith. So let's get into it. Let's go. Hi. I don't think I'll talk any louder than that, probably.
Hey.
I swear to God, I'm not going to yell.
I'm always a loud guy.
I might.
Hey.
I swear to God, I'm not going to.
Hey. All right. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, we're here. Hey, everybody.
Where are we?
We're at Sweetwater Gearfest 2023. It's Blake and I from the Tone Mob. And, of course, Paul Reed Smith. How you feeling, Paul?
I'm here. I'm here with the Tone Mob.
The Tone Mob and 60 Cycle Hum.
Yep.
We're going to double publish this thing so you can watch it on both channels.
So is it 60 Cycle Hum and the Tone Mob simultaneously?
Simultaneously.
Yep.
Two different media outlets together again with Paul.
Simultaneously.
Okay, so that would mean I'm Paul and Reed and Smith all simultaneously.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm Ryan. This is Paul. This is Blake. This is Reed. I'm Ryan. This is Smith. This is Blake.
You just outdid me. That's great. That's really good. That's good. That was good.
So I don't know if you remember, Paul, but we did this with you 7-8 years ago.
2016.
It was Blake's
It was
first NAMM.
pre-COVID.
My first NAMM ever.
It was my second
My first
NAMM ever.
interview at NAMM ever. My first...
Did I say something wrong to you at your first
Yes,
interview?
this is
It wasn't my
Revenge.
first interview. It was my first NAMM interview. But no, you said all the right things.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I remember us having a great time, and the comment section was divided because we were pretty rambunctious. We came in with this attitude like, hey, we don't know if we're going to do this very long. Might as well burn some bridges and have some fun.
Why was it divided?
Because half the comment section was like, why were you so mean to Paul? And the other half of the
weren't
comment
mean to me.
section was like, why was Paul so mean to you?
And we were like, none of that is
as
true.
my mother says, Paul, you and your aggressive humor. Sorry. Look, I've had so many bad things happen in my life that all I do is make jokes all the time. It's terrible.
It's the only way to get through it.
That's the only. Well, if you're not having a bad phone call, somebody calling you to tell you you've got a problem, I think you should be playful. My wife told me if I wasn't silly, it was a deal breaker. And she was talking about whether she'd marry me or not. And I was like, you want silly? Oh, you have no idea what you've asked for.
Yeah.
Oh, she gets silly.
We're going to do the full silly.
Full silly.
But I remember just having a great time hanging out with you.
Yeah, it was fun.
We had a fun time. No matter what the comment section thought what was going on, I remember having a great time. And when we found out that you were going to be here, and I was like, Blake's going to be here? Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Okay,
So here
good.
we are. Blake, do you want to
So I'm
steer
the
this?
divider between the two of you? Is that what it is?
Last time you were the meat in the sandwich. Is
Right.
what you
No,
were-
no. It's a grilled cheese sandwich. I'm the cheese in the grilled cheese.
cheese and the grilled cheese.
the
You're right.
cheese
You're
and
right.
the
He remembers better
podcast
than I
sandwich.
Well,
do.
it's because
I feel like the cheese in a grilled cheese sandwich.
you were using one of my analogies that you got wrong.
Well, it's not the first time. I'm sure I've ripped things from you
No,
before that I
don't
did
think
incorrectly.
So.
Yeah.
But the cheese and the grilled cheese is definitely one of my. That's not like the white in the middle of the Oreo or something.
That just seems like kind of weird to say. I won't say that one.
I don't think in this scenario you're the white in the middle of the Oreo, unless it's a vanilla Oreo.
That was out of bounds.
Oh,
No, that was a comment session. Here we go.
Comment section.
Oh,
Was
that's
that
great.
out of
are we
bounds?
talking about anything guitars?
Yeah, well, we're holding the brand new thing here, the new hotness.
Why don't you tell us about it? What do we got here?
It's a guitar.
Paul trying to keep us on track.
It's a guitar
It's a guitar.
Good luck.
made by...
All right, look.
Okay.
The problem with these kinds of pickups that make this kind of sound
Here we
is
go.
that they hum so loud that in some clubs the hum is louder than the guitar. So we had
the 60 cycle hum?
It's a big problem.
It's not just that; it's a buzz too. And we had a meeting, and we said, well, if we're going to make a guitar that goes after this character of sound, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to make them hum canceling. But the problem is stacks in general don't work. They work, but they don't sound as good as the original thing.
They don't
and I
respond
wanted
quite
something
right,
that sounded better. And there had been proof in the industry that it was possible. Like a jazz bass has two pickups on at the same time. They're in humbucking, and it sounds like a single coil. So it is possible to do. So we did that research and came up with those pickups. And let me tell you something, that's a very, very complicated piece of tooling. I mean, just the fact that the high string, doesn't get stuck over there. And God knows how many other things we did, but there's a reason for all this material in there.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a fully new pickup. Like it's not an off-the-shelf part at all.
Oh no, there's nothing generic out of a catalog on this thing. Nothing.
Now, you went with bar magnets instead of like normal round pull pieces. I'm assuming there was a reason for that.
Yeah, because I didn't want, if they were round, I would have had twice the string pull. There would have been 4 pickups underneath here. I wanted half the string pull per side.
Got it.
So that it was only the amount of string pull of a single round magnet.
Now there's
little pieces of steel in between.
That's what's in between. I was about to ask that. There's little slugs in between there.
It changes the inductance of the pickup. It sounds great.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like magic.
It's kind of like your shirt.
My shirt.
It's kind of like I don't know what it means, but it sounds magic.
Right.
It's provocative.
Science is real, and it's magic.
At the same time.
Time out.
Magnets. How do they
Science
work?
is real. I mean, who would say science is fake? I mean, you got to really think about this for a minute. You wore the shirt.
I wore. It's a band shirt. It's for They Might Be Giants. I went and saw them play a month
Were
or
they
so
great?
ago. Oh, they were fantastic.
Oh, that's why you're wearing the shirt.
Yeah, that's why I was at this show. But I got stopped in the Home Depot parking lot. And a guy was like, it's crazy that you have to wear a shirt like that these days. And I was like, hey, I don't wear this shirt as a political statement. I wear it for a band that I like.
Did you tell him that?
No, I was just like, yeah. And then I got in my car and left.
You could have stood up for yourself for a second.
It's not Ryan's style.
I don't think he was attacking me. I didn't need to stand up for myself.
I was attacking you. Go on. Now, what's the next thing? What's the next thing?
So,
This is why I have fond memories of
Exactly.
our interview 8 years ago.
You didn't change. I didn't change.
No, I don't want
COVID
us to.
changed us.
we're just rolling the same way we always
So
do.
what's the model name and number of this? We haven't
called the
mentioned it.
NF53 for Narrowfield, and we spent a lot of time on every little detail, whatever it be neck shape or body design or the pickups or the way it's wired, and God knows how many other things we worked really hard on, and we're happy with the instrument. We took it to Nashville and let all the Nashville guys try it, and we got pretty much 100% more than acceptance. People like, no hum, no noise, same tone, sounds thicker and bigger, go now.
I feel like an acceptance is a fairly vanilla term to
Well,
use if you're going
now,
to market this thing. I feel
That's
like
not
you should
the way it works.
throw an
Now,
enthusiastic
hang on a minute. Now we'll go
acceptance on
deep
top
for a
of
minute.
that.
It's very important. When ADATs came out, the whole market accepted it as a new way to recording. It got permission of the market. It doesn't have permission anymore.
That's what we're looking for here. Permission from the market.
from the market, from your viewers to think that this is good enough that they'd actually spend the money.
That actually goes
So
back to something we
acceptance
talked
is
about.
a big deal. How many products come out that die in people's arms? And it's happened to us. We came out with the NF53. Not the NF53. We came out with the NF3. And we got Guitar of the Year from all the magazines across the world as the Guitar of the Year. Couldn't give them away. Had to quit making them. Jimmy Herring picked one up. You can't find one now.
Right.
So, I mean, he got us acceptance. That acceptance in my world is not a vanilla term.
It's a big deal.
To use an Oreo cookie term. It's really important. I want acceptance. I want acceptance of this video that the people thought it was informative and entertaining or whatever it is. I don't want it to be like most CDs where people turn it off in the middle of first song and say, yeah, listen to it. It's not cool. I want, Dark Side of the Moon got worldwide acceptance.
Right. It's been accepted.
Yeah, well, that would be a very generic term for a very powerful thing that happened.
Could we call it exceptional?
Yeah.
Well,
A little wordplay there?
Actually,
exceptional, spelled with an A.
It is exceptional.
Right.
I think the record is exceptional. It's extraordinary, actually. Extraordinary. You want to go down this road? We keep going.
I'm not sure which
I'll
road
go down
it
the
is.
roads. I'll go down trails. I'll get on the freeway with you wherever we're going. I'm on board.
What about
Somebody help me. This is a problem. I need help.
Send help.
Can somebody please get me out of this?
We locked the
No,
door.
Paul.
No,
You're
don't
stuck.
touch
You're
me.
stuck.
I have space issues. You can't do that.
You folded my hat earlier.
I did fold your head.
Yeah.
You don't have space issues. I'm the one with space issues.
Oh, we're huggers.
Yeah, we're
No.
We're squeezers.
Don't touch me.
That's gonna be the quote from the video. I'm gonna make the title.
Don't
touch me.
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting. When you're in Japan, the way you acknowledge the other person is by bowing. It was an honor to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
In America, you're hugging your buddy to tell them that they're loved and accepted. I mean, it's very, very normal to take all the jokes out of it. But all societies have a little bit different way of doing it, And have you ever noticed a non-hugger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They'll hug everything.
They will.
Yeah.
Yep. Get a few
They
shots
The
in
hugger
them.
gets drunk, he ain't hugging
Yeah,
anybody.
they have to get all their hugs out once they get their inhibitions out. you
Yeah.
know?
So, are they going to ask me another question about guitars? I doubt it. Okay.
Why would we?
I don't know.
That's
No
the silliest
idea.
thing.
Are you ready for your
You
questions
ready?
that are not about guitars?
I have questions that are not about
I
guitars.
want about guitars.
I have one about guitars, and I have.
I'll ask questions about guitars. I don't have any questions that are not guitar related.
You don't?
I don't.
You got those out of your system?
I do.
Okay.
It's like who's on first.
I have to save mine for last, but I do have a
Okay,
question
okay.
about the wiring in this.
Yeah.
So,
It has wires in it. You're right.
are there wires in it?
Yeah, there are wires.
Or is it one of them newfangled things?
Yes, it's a wired guitar.
Go on.
Were
What's the question?
Were there any considerations that you took in designing that harness? Because I'm learning more about that stuff lately, and how they work as different filter circuits, et cetera, et cetera. Or did you go more traditional with it? What did you do there?
It's very traditional with a lot of very gentle, sophisticated tweaks. Exactly what the value of the pot is. There's so many things about it that were gentle but sophisticated tweaks to make sure the guitar sounded magic. It doesn't take but one thing to ruin a guitar. If the third fret's in the wrong place, you're done. It's over. It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, when you're wiring it, it's really important. The pot value is really important. Exactly how it was wired was we would make little teeny adjustments and then do a shootout, and little adjustments and do a shootout.
What is the pot value?
It's not a straight value. You have to go measure it. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I know I can tell you we worked on it for months.
So it's not just an off the shelf like 250 or 500 or something. Wow.
Look at that.
I didn't know you could get in between with pots. I didn't know
Sure
you
you
could.
can. You can
do
take a
custom
pot.
pots.
You can take a pot, and you can dumb it down to the right value. In a Silver Sky, we put a 300K pot in, and we dumb it down to 274K because that's exactly what was in John's
Precise.
original guitars.
Wow. I just learned something after almost a decade of doing guitar content. I just buy off the shelf parts. In my mind, there's 250, there's 500, and there's 1 meg. and
Well,
that's
if
all
you're
there
gonna
is.
build,
Okay,
a lot of
That's
guitars.
not the way it works, though. You can buy a 250K pot, but some of them go on, and some jump on the go. Eep.
Right.
I'm sorry, you can't just buy an off-the-shelf part. It doesn't work that way. It's like having an off-the-shelf purple T-shirt.
It is off the
You
shelf,
can't
though.
just buy an off-the-shelf
Shelf
purple
t-shirt.
T-shirt. Come
Well,
on.
I have to buy off the shelf parts because I don't have factories and stuff.
Wait a minute. You can buy different value pots, and you can dumb a 500K down to 250 all day long. All you do is put a 500K resistor across it, and
okay.
it's 250K. The next
Now I
second.
understand. Now I
Are
understand.
you following it now?
Now I am. I just
Okay.
caught up.
I was wondering, like, why isn't Ryan? Come on, Ryan. Come on. You've been doing this a long
The
time.
term in all the audio industry is slug in the pot. So what happens in these?
That means a different thing
Pieces.
in California.
Come on, Blake. We're having a serious
That was
conversation here.
really good. I got to think about that. That was really good. Slug.
That's the name of my new Doom band.
It's like, is that like adding extra THC to the pot?
I think
You
so.
slug the pot.
Yeah, it's when you put the resin in there. I don't know.
Get it sticky like a slug.
You take blonde Lebanese hash oil and you drip it on the pot. Then you
Getting
smoke.
back
Is
on
that it?
topic.
That's my understanding.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Then you slug the pot. That's great. That's
Yeah.
not what I meant. So, what slugging the pot, what that means is in the audio industry, they used to have 600 ohm outputs and inputs on all the audio gear, and they would have to put a resistor on it to make it exactly the right output impedance and input impedance. It was slugging it. So that's just an engineering term for the custom builders of audio equipment, and I got it from that.
Very nice.
But everybody knows a 250K pot sounds different than a 500.
Yeah. Well, not everybody knows. I
Okay, if you have a Strat and you put a 500K pot in, it's going to be brighter than if you
know.
put a 250 in it, and that's commonly known. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Even
I know
with
that.
a purple shirt, you
but
should know that.
I had comments on one of the videos that I did. I swapped a Jazzmaster style guitar from 500 up to the traditional 1 meg, and people in the comments were like, "That's not going to make any difference." I'm like, "You can hear in the video that it did make a. It's like super bright now. Like I don't know what to tell you. You didn't listen."
In an original broadcaster or Esquire, the switch down is the tone control disconnected. In the middle, the tone control's hooked up. It's not anywhere near as bright. And the other way is a capacitor ground that gets rid of all the high end. The original way the Fender's single pickup guitars were wired, that did a version of that.
Look at that.
So you're right. The internet will tell Leo Fender he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
That's great.
They actually do that. That's the
Yeah.
sad part.
There's
What?
They will say that.
yeah. The
That
internet.
Leo Fender didn't know what he was
They
doing?
will say
Right.
that.
I'm
There-
sorry, the Stratocaster, the Telecaster completely designed a state of grace. He didn't play guitar.
Right.
But what a genius move to be able to interview people to figure out what the future of the guitar industry was. Come on.
I almost
Genius move.
wonder if like we should only play guitars made by people who don't play guitar. Like it's like
Ted McCarty didn't play guitar.
I was gonna say that's what most of us do.
because I don't.
Without me playing guitar, I would be clueless about it. I'm not that good at. I'm good at interviewing people, and Ted McCarty used to interview all the artists in New York once a year, and all the artists would go to Leo's shop, and he would interview them about what they wanted, and I think that that's brilliant. But I think Joel Danzig from Hammer said that when Leo designed the Stratocaster, it was a state of grace. I think he's right. It's just, and by the way, they were done with Strats for a while. When they were making Jazz Masters and Jaguars and all that stuff, the Strat was out of business till Hendrix picked one up, and then things changed a little bit.
A little
bit.
But
after
yeah,
that.
it seemed like Strats became a little bit more popular for a while.
Little teeny
a little,
bit.
for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Les Pauls were kind of out of business till this
Yeah.
guy Slash picked one up. That changed a little bit.
Maybe James Page too. Maybe
Maybe when John Mayer and Carlos picked up, and Howard Leese and Al Di Meola and McCarty and David Grissom, all those guys picked up PRS's things.
There
changed
are
just
so
a
many
little.
names in this world, and we could list them all.
Speaking of artists, I have a question. So when you've obviously worked with some of the biggest artists on the
Somebody
planet.
Get me out of this.
This
Send
is a
help.
real question.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. When you're starting with an artist for the first time, you're sitting down with them to start designing a guitar.
That was so much fun. Go on.
What is one of the first questions you ask them?
What do they want?
Just
What are their
straight
goals?
up?
Yeah, of course. What do you want? But it's not that blatant. It's like, all right, Miles, what do you want?
Come on,
It's
Miles,
not like,
tell me
no,
what
no,
you
yeah,
want.
It's
That
not, it's not
stupid
like
thing.
that.
Yeah.
no. Miles, let's work on a design together. Okay. And then we start getting into it. And, Beverly, who's in charge of our artist relations, is very graceful about starting the beginnings of those conversations. She knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, what do you want? How can we help you? How can we be your guitar company? We want to make tools for you to make a living on. And in the end, other people believe in your vision and they'll buy them too. Look, when we released the Silver Sky, John Mayer had set it up. We were getting 1,000 likes a minute. Not 1,000 views a minute, 1,000 likes a minute. It blew up our website. It was over, shut down. Just shut it right down.
Right. The servers are red hot.
He was doing the whole thing off his phone without an assistant.
Right.
The question is he that good? You know what the answer is? Yeah. With that kind of social media stuff, he's that good.
He's good at self-marketing, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying he's not good at guitar. He obviously
now, that
is.
was simplistic.
Yeah.
Self-marketing. He's brilliant at using this format to be able to get people information that they desire.
We'll use your word, acceptable.
No, acceptance.
Acceptance.
I didn't say acceptable. You're barely acceptable.
That could also be the title, Barely Acceptable.
Barely acceptable.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, I've got one more question for you.
Yeah.
That I've been dying to ask you this
I know.
question.
Here it comes.
I know.
This is the one.
This
is
is
the one
I'll
I've
ask
been
a
waiting.
guitar question.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go.
What is your favorite kind of pizza?
We're good to see if it changed from last time.
I said either pepperoni or Mariposa last time, and I'm just going to say straight, really good slice of cheese.
All right.
Just slice of cheese.
All right. I like to do these updates once in a while because people do change their opinions
You know
occasionally.
what? There's something about a slice of cheese pizza that just hits completely different than all other pieces of pizza.
That's right.
It has a completely different flavor.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it with pineapple on it, but no.
Yeah.
Slice of cheese, that's how you test them. It's the way.
So I'm going to wind up from my question now.
Okay.
I like to spend time on the internet where the trolls hang out. And one
Under
of those,
the bridge.
Yes, under the bridge. One of the places I hang out is on Reddit in a group called r/Guitar Circle Jerk. And I told them that I was going to interview you, and I asked them what I should ask you. And I got a lot of people.
Did you just say what you
Yeah,
just
you
said?
heard that
yes,
correctly.
you heard
yeah.
all the words correctly.
That hurt.
This is
That really hurt.
our Guitar Circle Jerk.
Yeah, Ryan, stop. Stop.
I'm hurting him. Just the existence of you guys.
Edit. Go on, go.
A lot of them brought up the Tonewood debate. And so I want
There's
to
no debate.
I want to steer
There's no debate.
I know. I want to steer the question a little
Actually,
bit
there
here.
is a debate, but in my head,
There's
there's no debate.
on the internet. There's always a debate. I know that was it a video or an article that you were part of a while back, kind of blew up on the internet. You talking about Tonewood, and I got the sense that your point was, of course, the material the guitar is made out of matters.
Yeah.
Of course it
course
matters.
it does.
I think the spirit of what a lot of people think of in that direction is more, does the species of the tree really matter that much when, especially considering that guitars can be made out of other materials and things like that.
Yeah.
My twist on this question, because we could sit here and debate all day, mahogany, maple, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Are there any woods?
I would leave.
I wouldn't want to do it.
I would
wouldn't want to
leave.
do that. Are there any woods that are not tone woods?
Ooh.
Balsa wood.
Balsa wood.
Hasn't Gibson used balsa?
Balsa wood.
Balsa. There's your answer. Well, it's certainly not structurally sound enough.
Lignum vitae.
Lignum vitae.
I don't even know what that is.
It's the stuff they used to make the bearings and ships out of, so the water didn't come in with the propeller shaft.
So what would be what would the tonal
really
characteristics? It's really heavy. But what would be the tonal characteristics of balsa or a really light wood or this lignum
can't
stuff
tell
that's
you-
really heavy?
Lignum vitae. I can't tell you what balsa wood is. I only assume that it would be really bad because it has no strength. It's
Right.
really flexible.
Well,
So,
they use it in surfboards because it's light.
yeah, that's
familiar with
I
balsa.
understand. So
And they use it in model airplanes too because it's light.
that's how I know about it. I used to make model airplanes.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
I was
How
a
do you-
kid too. You know, I actually didn't have white hair with a bald head at some
I
point.
figured that's just how you were just.
That's the way, that's the
how it
way
was.
I came out the chute.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
What was your preferred brand of glue when you were making model airplanes?
You know, well, it was always DuPont Duco. That's what everybody used.
Yeah.
DuPont Duco. That's what everybody used.
That's it.
Look, I'm going to answer your question sideways.
I like it.
All right.
Okay. I think it should be the Home Depot challenge. I think that you should take all the guitar makers and a bunch of the trolls that think they know how to make guitars and go into Home Depot and make a guitar out of the parts in Home Depot.
I love that.
And I've been thinking about doing it, but we're never going to do it because it's kind of a waste of time. Did you know that a lot of 2x4s are made out of Adirondack spruce? They're made out of red spruce.
I've never even heard that species before. Adirondack spruce.
Adirondack spruce. It's the most coveted wood for acoustic guitars you can get. You can buy 2x4s at Home Depot made out of that stuff.
I just built a shed out of that stuff, apparently.
Yeah, well, it's good. You should have glued it together and made an acoustic guitar out of it. So, to me, you can. It's not about exactly what wood species is. Although I had a choice when I was a young man to either trust the old guitar makers and use what they use, or spend 10 years testing the woods and then start over again. I didn't have the 10 years to give.
No one does.
Well, actually, we've gone through all the species pretty much at this point, so we have given it. But what's fascinating for me is that, I had to trust them and then go from there. And I think it was a good decision because I didn't have the 10 years to, experiment with all the woods. And when you're doing it, if you have to make it exactly identical and only change one wood to find out what the impact is. Mm-hmm. So it's not so easy. At one point, we made 2 guitars exactly at the same time, exactly out of the same woods, exactly the same, and they sounded different, and we switched the parts, and they sounded the same. Not on the ones that we switched. When we switched the parts, the guitar still sounded the same. And that was fascinating to me that the wood did make a difference. Now, if you had that experience in my old shop, we were like, why does this one sound this way and that sound way? It must be the parts. We switched them. Didn't change anything, which was fascinating. But I've had some experiences that tell me that it does make a difference. And quite frankly, I'll end it with this story. Stradivari, they always go, the reason his violin sound goes so good was the finish. And you hear that for years. Mm-hmm. The reason it sounds so good is that there was more fungus in his instruments than other ones. The reason is because you find uric acid in the wood. Wish they did, because they tanned everything with sheep's urine back there. In those times, that was the common chemical. This, that, and the other. The thing that really bothers me is nobody ever says the reason Stradivarius sounds so good is because the old man knew what he was doing. They never say it. It makes me crazy. I don't understand it. And I'm telling you that as if there was more fungus in his shop down than the guy up the street. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I think he would have a field day if he was alive right now. All these private stock colors and everything else. Was not available at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's available now. And I think he would go nuts. Look, clearly, he understood how to tune those boxes. Mm-hmm. He understood how to get the amount of bow energy to turn into sound better than everybody else. As Zach Perlman said, the reason I play a Stradivarius because when I play pianissimo, when I play really quiet, they can hear everything I did in the back corner of the concert hall without a microphone. And to me, it does make a difference. And to me, the woods do make a difference. And there's too many thousands of examples. The problem with it doesn't make a difference is a single-dimensional thinking. There's so many other pieces.
Right. There's so many other components.
Yeah.
And I want to.
Is that a Swamp Ash old telly or is that an older old telly?
Right.
Oh, the Swamp Ash words are worth more money. Why? Maybe they sound different. I have no idea. But don't even get me started about something. I'm just gonna. Steam just comes.
It's going.
Yeah. I mean, don't take one of the major pieces of the puzzle away from me because you think it's not important. By the way, if you came into the private stock room and I was going to give you a private stock, you'd pick out which woods do you think sound better, Paul, after all the bullshit that came out of your mouth on the internet.
I'd probably pick the color that I like.
Okay, well, okay. Can somebody get me out of this?
Okay, I want to.
We're done. This is over.
I want to put a pin on that, and then you can agree or disagree with what I'm about to say. Because believe it or not, I think I agree with you on Tonewood. Because you mentioned Stradivarius. Like, what about his skill as a builder? And from what I've gathered from talking to various builders over the years, like a factory guitar that's, a $400 factory guitar is a $400 factory guitar, and they're just grabbing pieces of wood. But when you talk to a builder that's really spending the time with each piece, when they pick up a piece of wood, they can tap it and they can hear how it rings, and they know it doesn't really matter. The species doesn't really matter, but the density, the weight, the resonance, those things that they can feel with their hands and experience as a qualified builder, as an experienced builder, as a builder that's found acceptance, they can make these informed creative decisions as to what's going to build the guitar that they have in mind, what's going to make a guitar that's going to feel and sound a certain way. And people are going to fight in the comments like, well, after you put distortion and noise gates and compressors, does it really sound that different?
Not through your pedal board.
But I'll say what I've noticed is that guitars of different woods, guitars of different builds, guitars of different styles, they feel different.
Okay, but
and that's
great
hugely
guitars
important.
are not, it's not about the money. In my time at Dying was played with a fiberboard guitar, a Jan Electra.
Well, they all have different feels.
I saw
They all
him
have
do that
different
live,
sounds.
and my jaw was on the floor. They knew how to make a good guitar.
Yeah.
All right, so look, can I teach you something?
Teach me.
Oh boy.
Take your microphone, push the button, and pull it out, and we're
Goodbye.
Thank you for that.
You don't get views from that.
Thank you for the views, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
I gave you as much as I could possibly do.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well done.